Secondly, we must look at how parties conduct their primaries. You know, if we have a situation where to get nominated is now a function of who has more money to buy delegates, and a delegate can take as much as 200,000, 300,000, right? And these delegates are very ordinary people who live in villages, who live in communities. And people can see how much money they make by participating in the choice of a candidate. The electorate around them who are not party members, or who are even party members, who have seen how the other guy down the street,
their fortunes changed,
made a lot of money from nominating the candidate, could also arrive at what appeared to be a rational conclusion, that if you took money to impose this man on us as our candidate, and you are now asking me to join you to vote for him, you're going to have to pay me. You know, there might be some rationality to it from the point of view of those who are selling. However, this does not make it right. So I am fully in support of the campaign to remove vote buying, because if it becomes a way of life, and playing back my own history, I could never have been governor in Edo State, not alone succeeded in getting re-elected, other opposition that controls the federal treasury, and who from recent disclosures had access to NAPC, CBN, and various other sources to take cheap money, including security, to do all of the stuff that they did. People like us would never have been able to defeat a ruling party. So I am absolutely in support. And anything I could do as national chairman to ensure that we contributed to eliminating these vices, I am for it. Just so that people will win or lose election on the basis of the trust they command, not on the basis of the amount of money they have.
Now, in that regard, and I'm taking it from the point you made about the primaries. The APC brought out a set of guidelines for its own primaries, amongst which was that it was going to go for direct primaries, which was the way the candidate in Oshun was produced. And that if any of the states wanted a situation where they were going to do anything other than that, they needed to call a meeting of the state executive of the party along with other critical stakeholders.
Correct.
I listened very carefully when Mr. Nabena was issuing that clarification.
Correct.
Because where the issues started from was that in briefing the press after the media, after the meeting, the two governors who were present said something that may have been a bit different from that. So the clarification was necessary. But what we have seen since is that quite a number of states have gone on, in spite of that, to say they are going to do indirect primaries. Some have cited security, like in the case of Bauchi and Adamawa. They say, well, security would not allow them gather so many people in one place. It's a recipe for insurgents to attack and so on. Others have pointed out the cost, that who is going to finance these direct primaries and so on. But the critics have said that the reason why many are going for indirect primaries is because it is easier to get a small group of people and warehouse them once they have been properly mobilized, which is what has happened in the past. They warehouse them, and when it's time to vote, they take them and they vote for the preferred candidate, which I assume is what your party was trying to stop by saying, let's see the people who are voting. Let them all come if they are party members. Some, incidentally, have said they don't have access to a genuine list of APC members in their state. And that, of course, means that the kind of thing we're talking about is a non-starter. As national chairman, what are you going to do? What's the APC at the national level going to do about it? Incidentally, consensus has also reared its head. And some are quoting APC constitution to talk about that, well, it talks about three options, actually, not two: indirect, direct, and consensus. But in the clarification that was issued by Mr. Nabena, consensus was not mentioned as one of the options that the party agreed to. What are you going to do? Because, I mean, the primaries are,
I think my orders are clear. I have been ordered by the appropriate organ of the APC, which is the National Executive Council, that we will conduct either direct or indirect, while noting that we have three options: direct, indirect, and consensus. However, only two of these options were activated for the purpose of this coming election, namely direct and indirect. And because direct does not require any flogging, it simply means returning power to party members, so that party members will enjoy the privilege as well as the burden of choosing the flag bearer of the party in any particular election. And I'm of the view that when people can claim that they nominated you, they would, by common sense, work hard to persuade their friend, their brother, their relatives to vote for the one that they have participated in choosing. So no one, to my recollection, argued about the beauty of direct primaries. However, people raise concerns about logistics, about some peculiarities in some states, and even the fact that we are running a federation. And the logic of federation, you look at the debate that people make here and there, is that each of the states in a federated unit should have the liberty to be different to the extent that they think that they have things that make them different. And so we all agree that, on a good day, direct primaries will be better.
The youths are complaining that the price of nomination forms to contest the primaries in the APC are very, very high. That, for example, if you are going to contest the presidency, you need about 45 million for both the expression of interest and the nomination forms. That where is any youth supposed to get this kind of money from?
That's fine. Well, for the issue of not too young to run, I think it's about, as I said, a lot of our public conversation are governed more by emotion rather than hard evidence. If you look at the pattern of income distribution, there is no correlation between age and wealth. There are people who are 20 years old, because of their parents, they are already billionaire at birth. There are others of my age who are still paupers. With all due respect to you, there are people who are younger than you, who are in paid jobs in various sectors, who earn 3, 4, 5 times what you're earning. I don't know how much you're earning, but obviously you are not necessarily the highest paid person relative to your younger ones. So there is no evidence in statistics that age defines your relative wealth. There are other forces and variables that explain that. So not too young to run is not to say, I think we should be talking about not too poor. Not too poor. And I told you my own life experience. It was either by reasons of age or otherwise. At the time I contested, I was in 2007. We are now 2018. 11 years ago, I was 11 years younger. So
I actually thought you were going to tell us how old you were.
Yeah. And if you then look at many people who were governors before me, people like Donald Duke, even people like President Jonathan, they were very young. They not only ran, they became president. So there is this wrong assumption. We need to look at our income distribution and see whether there is correlation between age and wealth. Number two, when people say, not too young, you are not supposed to start learning leadership with human lives. You're supposed to start learning how to manage, how to superintend over a system, even as business. Not just not too young to run for political office, but also not too young to run a business, not too young to run an enterprise. And we are looking at what is happening around the world. The founder of Apple and of Facebook, these were very young people. They were not too young to become billionaires. If you look at the world's richest people today, they are not the oldest people. There are a lot of young men under 40, young men under 35, who are multi-billionaires, who have overthrown Bill Gates, right? On account of their intelligence and resourcefulness. So that is one explanation. That I don't want our young people to wallow that disillusion that age is a quality. Just because you are young, therefore you are assumed that you will do better. No, there are other things. We must also talk of young character, exposure, leadership ability, public perception. When people speak to some of the things that are happening in some part of the world, they do not understand the forces at play before those people became. There are a couple of things they've done as private citizens, as young persons, that the electorate would have seen, or if they didn't see, that their attention were drawn to justify the people why a country will be safer in their hand. I'm not sure that if you are not too young to run for president, 45 million, maybe we also have House of Assembly where the fee is less than $1 million.
Your Excellency, it's been our pleasure having you with us. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Remain the channels of the people.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.